Afghanistan means a lot of things to me. Our part in Afghanistan is pretty small, really, in the whole scheme of things. We're just here to, bring the country as far up as we can and help them in every way we can. My job is, just to come here, do my part, help one soldier if I can, help more if I can, and come home safe and do Australia and my family proud.
They're now a long way from home, but their journey began with the most Australian of farewells.
Very scared for Andrew at the moment, but at the same time I'm immensely proud, so it's just a lot of mixed feelings at the moment, so I'm not sure which to settle on, but as long as they come home safe, that's my main priority.
The 3 RAR battle group set out for combat duty early last month, some on their first deployment.
I'm very excited. Obviously this is every new lieutenant's dream to get a deployment in his first year. I'll be honest when I say my mum wasn't too impressed when I told her.
Preparation of the family is just as important as preparing the soldiers for going overseas. It's very hard to go overseas on an operational tour with any doubt in the back of your mind that your family's not ready. But you can never know what the insurgency is going to do, and that's the unbearable.
Training much closer to the front line a few days later near Dubai, the focus was to prepare for that danger.
The reason his heart stopped stopping in this scenario is major blood loss. All right,
we're seeing, a lot of amputations, partial amputations, in those frag wounds to the thoracic region. People who can be saved are being saved, rather than just having to rely on that medic. You can look to the man or the woman to your left and right and know that, if the worst was to happen, you can count on them to at least sustain you until that medic gets to you.
Safety is at the fore.
The main advice was just to focus on my work and look after my mates.
For me, my main job is to look after my boys, because the people you work with, you pretty much count as brothers.
This video was taken by Defence Force cameras. It shows the Australians at one of the forward operating bases.
We moved from multinational base Taran Kowt out here to forward operating base Mirrorwise here in the Tora Valley.
3 RAR is moving in and Mentoring Task Force 4 is moving out. This handover is known as Relief in Place, or the RIP. The RIP is regarded as the most dangerous time on the front line, and as a result, even though I'd travelled with the troops, it was deemed too high risk for a journalist to be here. The troops who are handing over are showing their replacements the ropes. This is where Australians are helping to train the Afghan National Army, or ANA.
Right, you got your med kits and CAS cards. Everyone's got the CAS card in the left shoulder, arm pocket. First aid dressings, one in the shoulder, one in the webbing. Yep.
3 RRs come into the operation base, and our job as the previous crew here, we're here to tell them what our experiences are, what our lessons learnt, and just to give them a complete brief of the area, so that they don't have the mistakes that we made, and they can learn and evolve their TTPs, tactics, techniques, and procedures.
An Australian patrol base is 4 k's down to the west.
It's a new phase in the relationship with the Afghan National Army. The soldiers from the 3 RAR battle group won't be mentoring. Instead, they'll take a back seat and allow the Afghan forces to take the lead.
The Afghan National Army were considered as like baby soldiers. They were very slow in learning. Over this trip, I've seen spacing that Australian Army soldiers, after months and months of training, do professionally. They're doing it now. They're using their spacing. They're engaging the enemy. They're taking firing positions. We don't have to tell them anymore. They do it themselves.
Every week, Afghan National Security Force commanders join a community meeting called a Shura, where elders discuss local issues and settle disputes. There are many challenges here in Uruzgan province. It's one of the poorest parts of the country. I travelled with an Australian-led provincial reconstruction task force. It's working to help build a better life for the local people. Literacy rates are low and electricity supply unreliable. Australia has another presence here too, AusAid. It's working with other aid agencies like Save the Children to build government facilities, roads and agricultural infrastructure.
It's providing a long-term foundation so that the government can deliver services, so they can get kids into school, so they can get healthcare working, and putting the basic fabric in place that also lets Uruzgan connect better with Kabul. So money will come from the national level and will be able to be spent effectively here in Uruzgan.
3 RAR soldiers are the official escort patrol for the aid workers.
It's pretty quiet this time of the morning, that's why we're out. That makes it easier for these guys to do their job.
The first stop is a school for 300 girls that's been recently built with the help of Australian Defence Force engineers. What does this mean for development in the area?
Well, I mean, education is one of the good news stories in Uruzgan. So when the Australians started the PLT, well, in 2006 there was only 2% of students going to school, school-age students. Now there's up to 29%.
The other service that's important to the local people is Radio Television Afghanistan. Its building was destroyed by 2 suicide bombers last year, and 1 journalist was killed when coalition troops mistook him for a bomber.
This is KAU headquarters, and next to it we've got the radio station. Last year they had quite a severe attack, henceforth why these guys are here to sort of survey the damage and the rebuilding that's going on.
Namatul Faridi is the director of RTA in Tarankot.
Where the 2 suicide bombers have came in, and they have killed one of the journalists. They said he was a very good and brave journalist.
The RTA plays an important role in informing the local people, and it's still transmitting from a cargo container behind the ruined building.
RTA was really important in Uruzgan too, because it can broadcast what the government does, and it short the distance between the people and also the government. So whatever the government was building or doing, we was broadcasting it through the RTA.
In this environment, the goal is to keep up the rebuilding while keeping civilians and troops safe. More than 30 Australians have been killed and more than 220 wounded in the last decade. The coalition Roll 3 hospital at Kandahar treats the casualties.
Death is always the toughest, so we do see a lot of casualties come in that are talking to us, and unfortunately half an hour later they're deceased and passed away. So we do try the best that we can, but sometimes, there are ones that out there are hard to save.
Hey, Lonnie.
Corporal Bradley Passmore is working at the hospital.
Most casualties, when they come in, they're conscious, so they're wide awake, and they can actually verbally talk to you, give you full sentences. So they're very alert.
And what are they saying?
They usually want to know how their mates are going. Usually, they want to know how their mates are out in the battlefield.
One of my last visits was to the military brass who run the entire operation. The International Security Assistance Force, or ISAF, is headquartered in Kabul, and it's from here that the 50 member nations of the international coalition have oversight of the war in Afghanistan. Brigadier Roger Noble, the most senior Australian on the ground, does not shy away from the dangers.
We're professional soldiers. This is our job. Australia's been in the heart of it. We have lifted above our weight, but our contribution has mattered, and it matters here. I'm not sure Australians understand how much it's valued.
Home is now on the horizon for the soldiers of MTF-4. Theirs is the first Australian mentoring task force to complete the rotation without any deaths.
On my last patrol, I'll probably feel a bit nervous. I do every patrol. The nerves are a good thing. They help you keep a little bit more keen than what you should. Every patrol could be my last, so I always keep it nice and keen. just thinking about after that patrol having a nice cold bottle of water and getting back to family and friends.
Private Carl Cody says there will be one more assignment to take care of when he returns.
It's like Anzac Day, you know, you weren't even there for Anzac, but your heart still pounds because the beat's going and you're marching and everyone's clapping you on. So for this time to be my time that I've served overseas, it's going to be even better. My heart's going to be pounding. I'm just going to worry about keeping my eyes forwards, not smiling too much when my mum cheers out my name, you know, or my missus, and just, you know, be happy to be amongst the guys that served with me.